Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Dr.Monkey, where we laugh together and cry together, but hopefully take something away to treat each other a little better. Here's some interesting stories. One about OP's parents who disowned OP and her fiance and cut him off of the will after they found out their choice. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Story 1. For context, my fiancé and I have been in a relationship for the past 10 years, and recently got engaged. While it's understandable that 10 years might sound a bit too much, we started dating really early and getting married was not a priority for either of us. We actually preferred to focus on our studies and career for a while. She's a civil engineer, and I'm a medical student after getting a bachelor's and a master's. I do freelancing as a developer to pay for my living expenses. We've been a couple for a long time, and it's quite common for people to ask when we're getting married and when we're having kids. We are getting married as soon as I'm finished with med school. We decided not to have children a long time ago, and we're still very certain on that decision, as both of us are more career than family-oriented. However, since the engagement, our families have put more pressure on us to get married soon and have children, even though we told them plenty of times that's not gonna happen. My fiancé and I live together and we're completely independent from our families financially. Some time ago, during a video chat, we ended up getting in a heated argument with our families for finally snapping at their ceaseless nagging for grandchildren, and we have been strained ever since. Now our families asked us to meet them for lunch, in family, at my parents' house. We don't live in the same city, but it's close enough that we can get there for something like this. And that's when the following situation transpired. We arrived early enough to help out in preparing everything for the lunch, and for the next hour or so, things were pretty alright. But after we had lunch and sat at the coffee table to chat, it's customary here. The room got visibly tense. Our parents, both hers and mine, started a speech about how much they put into us, how much they worked for us, and how much family means to them. I was already sensing some crappy thing coming, but I kept listening. Suddenly, they said during one of their talks, they came to the decision that if my fiancé and I didn't give them grandchildren, after all they had done for us, they would cut us out of their wills. Their reasoning was this. 1. My brother is a gay man, and as of now, have no intention of adopting or any alternative to have children, and I was the only option on continuing the family. He was not there, and is as mortified as I am. 2. She is the older sister. Her younger sister is in high school, and thus must set an example by having a family and continuing the family. Now, if that's not psychotic, I have no clue what is. We quickly looked at ourselves and immediately left their house. We haven't spoken to them since, but as far as we're aware, we're disowned by now. I never thought I would have to go through that just because I don't want to have children, but it just shows how much entitlement they think they have. Edit. My fiancé and I have absolutely no interest in their inheritance. We have been fine on their own for a long time and we can take care of ourselves. Thus, we have absolutely no intention of contesting their will. We don't need money, and we don't want it. I only posted this here due to the absurdity of their actions. We have decided to cut contact with them and uninvited them from our wedding. My brother has given us full support on this, as he is my best man. This already means the world to me. It's regrettable it came to this outcome, but we are not going to let them run our lives. Some people asked us why we don't want to have kids. There's a few reasons for that, especially the fact that we both are extremely focused on our careers. Having a child is a responsibility to raise someone and give them the affection, lessons, and time needed. Neither of us want to go through that just to birth someone. Also, we have firm beliefs that the world already has enough people in it without us putting someone else on it. Lastly, neither of us really like kids. As bad as that might sound, we have no intention of ever giving birth to a child. Update. About a month ago, my fiancé and I posted about how both of our parents decided to threaten us taking off their will if we did not give them grandchildren, which we won't be. Anyhow, they struck again and my fiancé is really fuming with rage now and wants to share the situation with all of you. There are some points that will need some clarification, and I'll try to make them along the way. First, as we mentioned in our last post, due to the absurdity of the situation our parents are imposing on us, we felt we do not want them at our wedding. Thus, we rescinded our invitation as a whole. My brother is my best man and he supports us wholeheartedly. Now we get to the point of the post. After we left my parents' home that day, we had absolutely zero contact with them. They made their decisions and we made ours. We thought that was going to be it. Now one thing needs to be clarified. Our wedding was planned for October 17th. However, due to the pandemic outbreak, these large gatherings of people were completely prohibited, on my region at least. But thankfully the venue we had acquired is run by the most lovely administrators. As soon as the outbreak started, they contacted us and gave us every assistance needed with rescheduling. Thus, we rescheduled our wedding to 2021, in the same month. As the situation is still uncertain, that can change but shouldn't for the time being. We aren't really bothered by it as we understand the situation is very dire, and we don't mind waiting for a time which everyone will be safe, possibly. This morning while I was studying for some exams I'll be having at school, my fiancé got a call by the venue administrator, asking why did we want to cancel our wedding. Obviously, that was very strange and confusing to us. My fiancé let him know that we had no desire to cancel our wedding and further asked what that was about. Apparently, my fiancé's parents called the venue on our behalf, telling them that we no longer wanted to rent the place as we were no longer getting married. Now, let me explain why the venue was leaning on accepting this situation. In my country, our IDs carry not only our ID and Social Security equivalent number, but also the name of the parents. And to rent a venue, you need to provide your ID for them as a bureaucracy requirement. I don't know if that's how it works everywhere, so I wanted to make it clear. Apparently, they wanted to take advantage of the fact and tried to dupe the venue to cancel our wedding. Luckily, the administrator is quite smart and saw that on our sheet, needed for rental. There is only 2 names, numbers for contact. We can't be reached. One is my brother, and the other is my fiancé, best friend. At the time we booked the place, we were already in a strained relationship with our parents, so neither of us had them as contact. Thankfully, the administrator actually paid attention to that, and took the care and time to reach out to us. Otherwise, we might not only lose our special date, but also all of our deposit and dream venue. I'll be honest in saying that I never expected that kind of behavior from anyone in our families. But alas, it seems I was wrong. Anyhow, now my fiancé is letting out fumes, and I'm trying to calm her down. We already sent a contact to our parents, and mine as we're sure they are in on this together, for them to never try to meddle in our lives again. My brother is as angry as we are, and he just told me that he was heading to their house to tear them a new one. I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm crestfallen, if anything. I never expected or wanted things to be this way, but neither of us will go back on our decision of not having children. Truth be told, I already have the papers for sterilization ready. I just hope that one day they do see their entitlement just lost them their son and daughter, all because of grandchildren that will never exist. I am so sorry that you are having to go through all of that. It's awful that they just won't stop. Glad the venue reached out to you before canceling. This is just an idea, but I've heard of couples creating code words that the venues and any hired vendors have that need to be shared before any changes will be made. You should check into it if that's a possibility so as to avoid this kind of conflict in the future. I'm sure they will try and come up with something else, and I wish you the best. Story 2. 2 things that are important to know about me. I am hard of hearing. I am a survivor of a violent crime and subsequent stalking. Context. My boyfriend and his folks own a coffee shop, but because his dad, ED, doesn't want to, A. Listen to anybody else. B. Learn how to run a business correctly. Or C. Pay his son his draw. BF is largely uninvolved and has talked about being bought out. He is still the administrator on the point of sale system, though, because his dad has no desire to actually learn how it works or go through the process to take over the account. The coffee shop drama could be a whole series of posts about how they did us dirty, perhaps another time. We got into bed really late. Okay, early. It was 4:30 in the morning, which normally wouldn't be an issue, as my BF was scheduled for the late shift, and I'm currently taking time off to work to figure out a medical issue. BF turns off his phone volume when he goes to bed, and this is well known to everyone close to us. He is notoriously hard to get a hold of in the mornings. I only hear my phone if it is right under my pillow, and the volume and vibration are up. At 6:25, I started receiving the following text from BF's mom, which I do not hear as I am PTFO. 6:25 a.m. Sorry to bother you. I need BF to call ED ASAP. His phone is off. 7:35 a.m. ED is going to come wake BF unless he calls us. Just before 8:30, the dogs start barking as someone tried to open the locked bedroom door. I wake up panicked as whoever it was starts banging on the door. It then stops for a few moments, then starts again. No one has said anything at this point. Not me, not BF, not the intruder. I get up and go to the closet for the baseball bat and start kicking myself for thinking we would not need a gun when BF had brought it up in the past. We open the bedroom door to find ED at the end of the hall. He starts yelling about needing the code for the two-factor authentication for the register. I start yelling at ED, and BF, who is just as angry as I am, has me go back to the bedroom. I put my hearing aids in at this point. ED claims to have been knocking on our front door, but neither dog heard him. BF gives him the code, tries to explain to him that coming into our house unannounced is a huge violation of trust and boundaries. Not the first major issue. ED then yells about needing to get the register working. BF kicks him out, and we think that's the end of it. Not 2 minutes later, I receive another text from M. 8:24 a.m. Please tell BF to send the new code. We still can't get in. Then we hear the clanging of the metal gate and more pounding on the front door. We go answer it, and ED is yelling about needing the new code and that he has a copy of our key in hand. He was clearly going to let himself back in. I lost it at this point and yelled, "You can't just let yourself into our home. What the heck is wrong with you?" He gave me more BS about needing to get the register working. I screamed, "My ability to be safe in my own home is more important than your shop." He took particular offense to this, yelling back at me, "So you see me as a threat? Am I a threat to you?" I tried explaining that I've had my home broken into before. His response, "Not by me." Over and over then continues yelling about the shop. I demand the emergency key back, and after yelling a bit more, he shoves it at me. BF had enough and yells at me to go back in the room. He will handle it. I do, because at this point, I am on edge of a panic attack. Through the closed bedroom door, I hear more yelling, and after a bit, the door slammed. BF called his mom saying that ED needed to apologize and that his behavior wasn't acceptable. She asked him, what does he need to apologize for? BF tells her and she is mortified. I then get this text from her. 908. I am so sorry to have bothered you so much today, and so sorry ED made such a scene. I have not responded. This man clearly doesn't understand boundaries, doesn't think he needs to be held accountable for anything, and felt entitled to just barge into our house and demand his son fix a tech issue. And for the record, yes, I do in fact see him as a threat now. Both of BF's parents know about my severe PTSD. We know he won't apologize because he genuinely doesn't see a problem with his behavior. It's time for some serious boundaries and a security system. Change the locks. He may have another copy. Tell BF's mom that she lost her right to the emergency key. Get an alarm system ASAP. And I wouldn't speak to BF's dad again until you get that apology. Also, your BF should not be yelling at you, especially while you're having a panic attack. What the heck is wrong with him? That will just make the trauma worse. Story 3. My dad won't accept advice and will even take it as offense. He always brings religion into fights and has a massive ego. He takes and reads my phone while I'm sleeping, and he installs cameras in my room. I'm a straight A student. My motivation is to get out of this house as soon as possible. And yet, he doesn't trust me to study in my own room. He wants me to study in his room, where he can keep an eye on me. Recently, he grounded me because one of my classmates said a subtle "D's nuts" joke at the group chat. My dad interpreted it as something overly terrible. When I was in the 5th grade, I had a really good friend with only one flaw. Sometimes he swears in group chats. My dad directly confronted my ex-best friend and broke our relationship. My friend introduced me and sort of mentored me in piano and programming, 2 of my favorite activities in the world. He even brought this matter to the principal, all because of a single crap he said when he was venting. Now the whole freaking school hates me. Strangely enough, unlike other kids my age, I enjoy school more than being in my home. He doesn't allow me to use social media, and he monitors almost everything I do. I feel like he is hindering my true potential. I've also even made several attempts to bond with him. All failed. At one time, I was in 2nd grade, he hit someone for slamming the door with some other kids still in the school parking lot. He had to undergo surgery after that. Develop mysterious stomach aches. Get a doctor's appointment. Tell the doctor you're afraid it's an ulcer from all the stress and fear you're controlling and abusive dad puts you through. Talk about the cameras and the isolation from peers, and how you've lost every friend thanks to his behavior. Talk about how it feels to be under constant surveillance and how it gives you anxiety and affects your sleep. Well guys, that's all for today. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story's about OP, who let a pregnant woman and her kid into her home to stay the night. Oh, and then OP kicked them out immediately after what happened. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you next time on Dr. Monkey.